Hello, my name's Paul Winterstein, and I'm running for mayor because I want to make sure that we leave Issaquah to our children that is as special, as vibrant, and as caring a community as it is today. I came to this area over 30 years ago, met my wife, raised our family here in Issaquah. A lot has changed over that time. When I moved here, there were only 6,000 people and 6 stoplights. Today, there's 34,000 people and over 60 stoplights. That's a lot of change. But what hasn't changed is this community spirit, this sense of caring that exists with the people back then and exists here today. There's a lot of wonderful features that of Issaquah. We have beautiful parks, we have a great outdoor, we have great schools, we have a great civic organizations. But with our growth, there's been challenges. We've had challenges with where does the growth go? With the growth in the region, we've had a lot of issues with pass-through traffic. That's been going on, honestly, for a long, long time with issues with pass-through traffic. But that's not going away. And so if I were to be your mayor, what I want to focus on continuing, providing, and taking care of those really nice special attributes of Issaquah that make this such a special place that people want to live, while working with our city, working with our citizens, working with the council, and working with our regional partners on the difficult issues of growth, transportation, and getting more housing affordable to people that live here. What 3 things will I do to help alleviate traffic in my first year? I'm very sympathetic to the issues of traffic, especially during the rush hour in the afternoon. When families are completely unsure whether or not everybody's going to get together when you want to, and traffic is delaying families getting back together, that's a real issue. And that's existed for quite a long time now. Congestion isn't our only issue, however, and during my first year, in fact, while I'm still on council, I'm going to work with my council members to bring a solution to the intersection at Providence Point up on 43rd. That's a top priority for me as a council member and then later as a mayor. When it comes to traffic congestion, there's a 3-part strategy that I have. We have to work with inside our city, but also with regional partners on the roadways on State Route 900, has to not clog up as much. We have to work with the state. We have to work with King County, who owns the Issaquah-Hobart Road, so that it doesn't clog up so much, because when those roads clog up, they back up into our city, and that's when people are affected. And we have to work with the state on getting not only Highway 18 interchange rebuilt, but also more capacity. So that's a viable route not going through Issaquah for people who want to go south. We also have to work with our transit partners. There has to be new transit centers, I think, further out from Issaquah, so we can capture trips where they originate, so people aren't driving their cars into Issaquah to get to our transit. And then as a community, each of us as families can make our own choices, additional choices about either carpooling, or maybe walking or riding a bike, or using transit more that's coming to the community. Together, we can alleviate traffic. Prioritizing public safety, mobility, and economic health. Those are all very important topics, but so are the environment, human services and senior services, and housing affordability. All of these topics are critical. But let me talk to these 3. Public safety is and shall always be the most important issue. It just is. I've talked to some people about this question, and they say, do we have a public safety issue? In fact, we don't. Public safety here actually works very good. Our citizens are largely responsible for that, but our police force and our emergency medical response and our firefighters are also very effective. They do a very good job, and we cannot ever compromise on public safety, because if you want to ruin a town, compromise on public safety. I refuse to do that. Mobility is something that we can have an impact, the city can have an impact as well. We own roads, and we can build bike lanes, and we can create more safe pedestrian alternatives. That's very important as well. We're not as dependent upon everybody outside to do this. But when it comes to economic health, it's where the city has less direct control, because the economy and many other things outside our control affect economic health. So we need to make sure that our economic development department continues to recruit and try to bring new businesses, to Issaquah, so that we continually have growth opportunities. But at the same time, that the regulations that the city does, that they're actually value add to the entire city and aren't burdensome on our businesses. How will me and my staff obtain broad input from citizens, from the community, and from all stakeholders? I think that's a great question, and I really think the issue is broader than just receiving input. I think a big thing we always have to remember is that our government is from the community, is of the community, and does things for the community. The community wants access to its decision makers, both on the council and the mayor's office and to staff there. So access to the decision makers, as well as being open to input from citizens, is very important. Now, we have a number of existing means today for citizens to give us input. Some have been around for a long time, but I realize not everybody knows about things. You can go online and submit something called a Citizens Action Request. That's available to you today. Of course, it's really great when people come to whether our council committee meetings or regular council meetings and give public input, especially at the regular council meetings because the mayor is there, and I want to hear all of that. We also have a communications department that just acquired a new public engagement tool. And I think that's been a priority for this city and for the council and for the mayor's office to make sure that we have more information getting out to the community and more opportunities for the community to speak to us. And well, another thing, as mayor, I'm going to want to explore the concept of town halls, regular town halls where they're not agenda driven, where it's more just opportunities for kind of free-flowing communication between the citizens and the mayor's office. As mayor, how will I work with the city council on policy decisions? Well, it's very clear that the city council is the legislative body that sets policy and also determines the budget. That's not going to change. That's going to be true, of course. It's the mayor's duty to actually implement those policies and to enforce the laws and owns the staff that does all the work of the city. So that's not going to change. Obviously, my staff would have to support the council because the council doesn't have the staff or the means to kind of draft and write their own policy. And I recognize, that's kind of a reality for a city of our size, that the mayor's office has to provide resources to help the council. And we're going to continue to do that and do it in a way so that the council, can be as effective and get the things done that it wants to get done. Let me tell you a quick story, just so you understand very well how much I understand the dynamics here. A couple years ago, the council, when I was as council president, we directed the mayor to enter into a contract to a service provider for senior services at the senior center. Said, enter into a contract. But then before we did that, we lost faith in that service provider and told the mayor, you know what, we're not going to do a contract. Now that was very difficult for the mayor at that time, and I recognize that. So I know in my role that as mayor, that policy comes from the council, and it's my job as mayor to most effectively implement those policies. So what is a successful mayor? I want you to know I got involved in public service as a member of the community. It was over 10 years ago. I got together with some friends and we gathered signatures and we petitioned the city to ask for public transit or a bus service to come to Squak Mountain where I raised my family. And that's how I got involved. I've never forgot the fact that whether you're on a council or if you're a mayor, the elected leaders are of the community. We work for the community and everything we do is for the community. And that will be my bedrock. That'll never change. I think another key thing for a successful mayor is the way that we lead the community together when it comes to making some difficult decisions. I know philosophically that many times there's multiple right answers to issues. The key thing for the mayor is to bring those stakeholders and people who are concerned together, have a respectful, open dialogue about the various options, and then try to come to a consensus and bring people together. Not everybody is always going to have their viewpoint come out on top that way, but if you work that way, if you invite people, they know that they heard, they know that they've had a chance, they'll come back the next time and continue to stay engaged in the process of governing our city. So I think that's another very strong requirement to lead to successful mayorship. I think many people agree with me that Issaquah is a very special place. As I said earlier, what we have here, our setting, the outdoors, the civic community that we have, the great small businesses that we have, the great school system that we have. There are many reasons why this is a wonderful place to live. But at the same time, because of the growth that we've experienced, there have been some real challenges. How our city grows among a region that's growing. As the council, as I was part of, we devised a plan to direct growth into the downtown area. We want, as we go through time here, we want, as our city grows, we want to protect our existing neighborhoods and make sure that growth happens in the place that has the least impact. If we can create a very livable, walkable community for the future on the valley floor, close to transit, I think we'll be able to absorb that growth and minimize the impact, to our existing neighborhoods and still retain all those special characteristics of our city of Issaquah. And so that, along with the traffic that issues that we talked about earlier, are the real challenges that we're facing. And I, as your mayor, would put my heart and soul, as I have for the last few decades that I've lived here, and for the last 6 years on council, put my heart and soul in helping obtain the best city of Issaquah.